Well, the U.S. Army just got a giant boost for ammo production. And this is going to change everything for the U.S. military if they play their cards right. Now, before I get into it, I do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, ES Power Drink, for not just supporting this channel, but producing the only drink, I believe, in the world that has Trinidad scorpion peppers, which then you can drink it and tolerate it without killing your mouth and stomach. And you reap the benefits of the health benefits of that, the capsaicins that's in there. It helps you burn fat. It helps you sleep better. It gives you more energy. It gives you a better outlook on life. And it also allows you to build up a tolerance. And then in addition to that, they're also now making these ice chips, which it's just like a thing you throw in your mouth and it heats up your body as if you've been in a workout, then brings it right back down, just burning calories as if you've been in a workout. It's fascinating and it's actually delicious as well. That link is below. There is some very, very good news when it comes to U.S. military ammunition production. Now, we've just got a gigantic boost as far as the U.S. military goes, because this time last year, we had all sorts of military officials saying that we are in an ammo shortage, that as far as the military goes, that they were now digging into their reserves. And what they were referring to is they're not talking about small arms. They're talking about mostly 155 millimeter shells. These are all being sent to Ukraine, and Ukraine is using them faster than we can send them. And they're definitely using them faster than we can produce them, because right now, all of them are being produced in Scranton, Pennsylvania, at the U.S. Army ammunition plant there. It's just pumping out the big giant shells. The small arms is made in Lake City Ammo in Independence, Missouri. But these large ones are the ones that really were causing all the problems, because when the military was saying we were having an ammo shortage, they weren't talking about small arms. They were specifically talking about these big giant shells. Now, the reason we just got a boost is because all of them, just as far as we can produce, we're sending them off, digging into our reserves. We just can't quite even get our reserves back to capacity yet, because we're just sending them everything. Now, what has given us this boost? First of all, it really kind of went under the radar. I haven't heard really anybody talk about it other than on this channel. And I've seen a few articles about it. But last week, the president of Ukraine was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, checking out that ammunition plant that was producing 155 millimeter shells. And you might think, well, that's, he's just wanting to see where his shells came from. No, the reason he was checking it out is because at that same week, they started the machines on their own 155 millimeter shell production plant in Ukraine, being supplied, meaning as far as where you're getting the raw material, all the components that you need from Europe. So ultimately now what you have is you have Ukraine producing their own shells, and it's being fed by Europe. So that means that in theory, again, I don't know what the U.S. military's plan is, but in theory, they can then turn that production, and they should turn that production into production for the U.S. military, American ammunition for the American military. Because, God forbid that we need them anytime soon. We wouldn't have them if we needed them, because they got them all. So we have to produce our own. And I'm very hopeful that this relief, because it's definitely going to give them some relief, that this relief will allow us to then start stockpiling again and getting our own reserve back to capacity, as it should. So there you go. That's the big news, is Ukraine is now producing their own 155 millimeter shells. He visited the ammo plant probably to compare the two, to see, well, how are you doing it here? And now how are we doing it there? The U.S. military did help them set that plant up. And now Europe is then going to feed them with the components and the raw material they need to be able to, in theory, produce as much as many 155 millimeter shells as they need. That in theory, again, would give us the relief that we need so we can then build back up our reserve, because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you need a lot of ammo real quick and you don't have it because you've been giving it to that guy. It's the worst situation you can be in. So there you go. I would like to add at this point, I would recommend you reach out to your congressmen, your representatives, and say, now that Ukraine is running their own 155 millimeter shell production facility, stop sending it to them. Start focusing on us. Let's rebuild up that reserve, because it's really just all of this is going under the radar. You know, I talked about this last year. And and it's ultimately could affect small arms because they use the same components. Well, similar, but they use the same raw material. The raw material that goes into those shells is very similar raw material that's going into the little tiny bullets. So those are going to affect us. If we start running out of raw material because we're making all that for Ukraine, then we're going to run out of raw material to produce our own bullets. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight on any of this, especially if you have any insight? Love for you to put that below. Do want to take a moment and say most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.